Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. I've been a little MIA for the past couple days. I needed to take a bit of a break. I actually pre-recorded some videos for you guys, but unfortunately when I went ahead to edit the videos, the audio was pretty bad. What happened was my mic was set up and everything, and my mic was on, but the extension or the plug for the mic to go into the camera was just a little bit disconnected, and I've been having that problem with that connection for the mic for a while, and usually I'm really good about checking it in the beginning, just because sometimes it'll just come loose. So that was really unfortunate. I was so bummed about it. I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna take those couple days off anyways, and I'll come back when I have this system figured out. So what I did was I have a Rode mic that I use for my knitting and crocheting video, and I'm currently not using that mic, so I just grabbed the cord from that, which is so much better, and I'm using the Rode mic cord now for my DJI mic. So finally happy with that. I know it's not going to work itself out and give me any issues, so we're back to recording, thank goodness. But I'm going to be up-potting at this point. One of the videos that I started for you guys, that I made for you guys, was me starting my tomato seedlings, and the video was so good, but like I said, the audio was bad, but I'll probably still insert clips for you guys whenever I speak about something that's relevant. But I decided to pop the sweet peppers out firstly, and then I'll bring out the hot peppers and then the tomatoes. The tomato up potting will be a little bit different, and I'll go into that when I get to them. The sweet peppers, this is something that I've been in my head planning to start earlier. The season before, I started it on it's not in my head, I'm gonna look at my notes right now. I started my sweet peppers on February 18th, and this year I started it on February 21st. So definitely didn't hit that goal of starting it on the any time of the first week of February. So that's going to be a goal again for me for the next garden season. But the plants are looking really good. There's some in here that didn't give me any seedlings at all. First one is the purple sweet. This is a pepper that I grew in 2023. I believe I purchased it from the nursery, and I saved the seeds, but no seedling came up, and that kind of makes me question how good my seed saving abilities or my seed saving method was, because nothing germinated. So this is something that I'm probably going to put out some more seeds and see what happens, to see if the whole batch is bad, or maybe I just put some bad seedlings, or I just didn't take good enough care of them. And then I have some Marconi and Cubanelle seedlings, seeds that I planted, and nothing came up for that as well. But we do have the sweet banana, we have the peppercorn, we have the California Wonder, we have the Sweet Bell, red, orange, and yellow. We have the Habanada, Yellow Monster, Purple Beauty. We have some Jimmy Nardello, and we have the Candy Cane Cherry Sweet, and that's one that I'm really excited about because it has the variation in the colors of the peppers. And I'm gonna bring you close to this. I don't know if this is supposed to happen or if you could even see it, but we have a little bit of variations going on the leaf as well. I think that's supposed to happen. My goal was to start the sweet peppers earlier, mainly the ones that bear the really large fruit, so our bell peppers. The reason being is I have been starting them like around the same time as the hot peppers, and the normal recommendation is that you start your hot peppers much earlier than the sweet peppers, especially those really hot peppers. And I would say I still agree with that. If you're starting really spicy peppers, you definitely need to start them earlier. They usually take longer time to germinate. But the thing with the smaller peppers is that once you kind of get them going, you really have no problem getting a bunch of peppers when you're harvesting. But what happens with the bell peppers is they take a while to establish once you put them in ground. It takes a while for the plant to produce that large bell pepper. So essentially for me, I feel like when I am harvesting a lot of those hot and smaller peppers, I'm not even really starting to harvest large bell peppers until like the end of September, early October, which is a problem because soon enough there's going to be a chance that the temperatures are going to start dipping, and I'm having to lose out on the possibility of a lot more fruit. So that's why my goal was to start them much earlier. Unfortunately, I didn't get to that, but this year, the goal last year was to overwinter my bell pepper so that I could put them out larger and possibly get a better harvest, bigger fruit, all of that stuff. So since I didn't start them earlier, I'm going to go back and try that goal again of overwintering my bell pepper plants, and we shall see how that goes. So today, we are going to be up potting these. We have, which one is this? We have the Purple Beauty that's actually putting up a fruit, and I'm just going to pinch that out of there. I don't even know if you can see it. Let me bring you guys closer so that you could see everything and how I up pot these. So if I was doing this in a timely manner, the goal would have been to up pot these about a week or two ago. I'm gonna lift a couple up so you guys could see the root system, and that's always a sign that I've been a bad plant mom, is whenever I start seeing the roots circle around the plant, that usually says to me that they have been ready to get larger and grow bigger, but there hasn't been any room for them to do that. So that tells me that I am late to the game. But we have, in this container here, we have the Coast of Maine potting soil, and I've been really enjoying using this. I find that once I sift it, it makes a really good potting medium, especially for seed starting or just growing your seedlings in general. Normally, if I did pot them out when I was supposed to, I would have added some granular fertilizer. But because these are just going to be in here another maybe 3 weeks to a month, we're just going to work with what the nutrients that the potting soil has. So I'm going to mess this up a little bit so that it doesn't continue growing in a circle. And I'm going to just pot it up to about maybe a finger's length as far as the height of the seedlings, how high you want to keep them in the container. And you'll see this is very different when I do my tomato plants, but this is looking much better. And then we're just going to pop the label in there. Don't forget to do that. And I already went and grabbed a tray, so we're going to put our seedling in that tray. And you could see that is not my best work. Okay. This is not my best work. And these have been getting organic liquid fertilizer about twice since. So they've gotten it, I would say, once every 2 weeks or so. You don't want to go too crazy on the fertilizer aspect, because then they just start growing too big, and you would have to continue up potting into larger container, which means you'll need to have more and more potting soil. Guys, you hear the ice cream truck? It's such a beautiful day today. We went to the zoo today with the kids and we had such a good time. And they're also on spring break. So it's just been really nice not to have to do that morning routine, honestly. And they'll be going to what we've been calling Camp Nana, which is when they spend upwards of, 3 to a week at Nana's and Papa's house. And that kind of gives my husband and I a nice little break. And then my nephew is at his mom. So it's a little child-free household. So we finished potting up all of our sweet peppers. I'm trying to slowly glide it so it doesn't mess up and you can't hear me. So now I did something a little bit different than I did last year. Whenever I was potting up last year, I believe I put 2 in each of the pots. Not a good idea. Although I like to grow them together, 2 in each larger pot. The 2 seedlings in 2 of the grow container or seed container, whatever it's called, does not work. There's not enough space for both of them to expand their root system and grow nicely. So before I put them together, I am going to still keep them apart in their own little seed things. But once I'm getting ready to put them in their final planting place, I will be planting either in the container or in ground. I like to plant my peppers in pairs. It helps them to stay more upright. They lean on each other. They grow well. Peppers, for me, I just feel like they like the companionship. So that's how I'll grow them. But once I'm up potting them, I'm going to be keeping them separate rather than together. Another thing that was recommended, or you'll hear people suggest, is something called pinching your peppers. And that would be where you would pinch out like the middle part of your pepper plant. Let me come closer here. So you'll see that there's about 4 set of leaves. Let's not count this one down here. There's 4 set of large leaves here. You would pinch out the inner portion here. And that is supposed to promote more branching, which allows your plants to be more stable, produce more fruit. I've done it before and I don't really see much of a difference, so I'm not going to be pinching my pepper plants this year or any year, as a matter of fact. But what I am going to do is go ahead and bottom water these. I fertilized these about 2 weeks ago. Or actually not 2 weeks ago, a week ago. So I'm not going to be fertilizing them again today, but the potting soil that I used to pot them up was pretty dry. So I want to make sure that I rehydrate the soil. So I'm going to be adding some water in here. So these smaller sweet peppers, like my peppercorn, my sweet banana, my habanada, I'll be planting those in my, I believe they're 10-gallon containers. If I'm not correct, I'll put the correct size down below. And those containers I purchased from Home Depot last year, and they were on sale for $1 a piece. So I went ahead and picked up a bunch. So I'll be planting any of those hot peppers and those smaller peppers in those containers. Unfortunately, I don't have any really big ones that I can put the sweet peppers in, or I would have put the sweet peppers in them. So I'm going to put my sweet peppers in ground. I feel like I shouldn't, because something that prevents me from overwintering my sweet peppers is having to dig them up, rinse off the plant, rinse off the roots, and find a container and all that stuff. So I'm going to try to put the ones that I want to overwinter, I'm going to try to get them in containers, and the rest I'm just going to put them out in the landscape somewhere, or a dedicated bed. There's so much bees right here. I think because there's not a lot of plants in the yard, they've all just decided to be in this vicinity with all the seedlings, which makes it pretty hard to hang around them, but they're pretty chill. As long as I'm chill, I feel like they'll be chill. I haven't had anyone really chasing me or anything, so I'm assuming if I just relax and stuff, they'll be fine, and they have been sometime, but I think it's just their flying path sometimes intersect with where I'm actually sitting. So let's actually get these back inside. I am going to be hardening them off. Actually, I could start hardening them off tomorrow. We have passed our last frost date, which is April 7th, but usually I wait a week or so after that, because we did get a nice freeze right on April 7th. So you don't want to really start putting out your summer veggies to harden off until a week or two after your last frost date. I think we are in the clear now, so I'm going to actually start hardening these off tomorrow, as well as the rest of the things that are under the grow light, just so that I could forget about that area and then just focus on planting everything out. I'm going to go ahead and grab the tomatoes and show you guys how I'm going to up pot those. So here are the tomatoes. And I believe I started these on the 8th or 9th. I like to use these 16-ounce cups for my tomatoes. I like to see the root system. I also, because of the way the tomatoes grow, where as they get bigger, if you have any soil around their stem, they'll actually push out roots in that area, and that's something that I am trying to promote. So instead of up potting them in a new container, what I've started to do is fill these solar cups, and look, you could see the root system. Let me see if you could see, like right here. I don't know if you could see that. Which I think is really fun. So I take these solar cups, these plastic cups. These were about $3 for 50 of them, and then I drill holes at the bottom. I try to get between 3 and 5 holes at the bottom, and then sometimes if I have the time, I'll actually drill holes at the side as well. The more drainage you can get, the better. And then after that is done, I fill the container about halfway with soil, and then I drop my seed in and I cover my seed, and then you could see they are starting to grow. They're starting to grow. You could kind of see it in the container. They're about this tall. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle soil just so that it covers the tomato plants again until that point that they're just putting out the leaves. I like to do that because then the plant is going to go ahead and push out more roots along that stem, and that will make for a more sturdier tomato plant. They'll have a larger root system, which means that they will bear better and more fruits. If they have any you know, if you have like a windy day, they'll be more stabilized because they have that larger root system. So my goal is to plant this entire depth when it comes to my tomatoes, sometimes even longer. So usually I'll start my tomatoes, let's see, around the same time I'm starting my peppers, which I think is a bit too early. So that's why this year my goal was to start them at the last week of March. Turned out I ended up starting them at the first week of April, which is not too bad. So I'll see how this goes. But my goal is to, by the time I'm ready to plant out my tomatoes, which is Mother's Day weekend kind of, I just want them to be about 2 to 3 inches higher than this cup. And what you'll realize when you start growing and starting tomatoes from seed is that they grow really, really fast. So I'm thinking this may still work out really well. As long as they have a nice root system, that should work. If they don't, I'm going to plant them deeper and make sure that only a few of the leaves are showing. That way they could grow more roots. So I'm just putting soil around those seedlings, and that's my plan for uppotting tomatoes, is just adding more soil, and that is so much easier than plucking them out, finding a new container, you know, doing the whole shebang. This, I feel, is a win-win situation. I have used the red Solar cups, but honestly, like I say, I prefer using the clear ones because I could see the root system, which I think is really fun. But I also prefer the clear ones because if I'm still using my light, well, in my head, I feel like it's penetrating the plants much better because the growing medium or the growing container is clear. That could all be just in my head, but I prefer to go with the clear ones. And then some of them have still not sprouted, like the Alini Gold, the Costelludo, the pineapple has. And for each of these, I put about 2 to 3 seeds, depending. But really, tomatoes, I never have any germination issue with them. So, I mean, you could put exactly how much you need sometimes. And then if you do mistakenly cover, you could just take your finger and brush off the soil off of the leaf. So we're still waiting on the cherry tomatoes to come up, the Super Italian, but pretty much everything is coming up, and we're also going to bottom water this as well. They haven't received any fertilizer. I'll probably start doing that in about a week or two once the other ones have come up and once they're putting out their first true leaves. So these right now are just the seedling leaves. And these are pretty much set. In the next maybe 3 to 4 weeks, we'll see how they look and see how large they get, and then we'll start hardening them off. The hot peppers, unfortunately, are not looking their best. I've never had peppers that looked this bad, but I do believe that once I up-pot these, they will recover and do quite well. So I'm not too worried. Actually, just get the pots and just start, or else I'm just going to wallow in the fact that these are my peppers right now. And you could see with the soil blocks, you see the roots. Let me get you a better example. These don't have pretty good roots on them, but you can see the roots. They're still going straight down. They're not going around in a circle, and trying to figure out where to go. I don't know what happened with these peppers, honestly, because they were growing really nicely. They've even been fertilized, so for them to look this bad is really strange to me. But I'm going to pot them up and just hope that they recover nicely. I'm really happy that I have the red ember cayenne because I really want to dry those and make cayenne pepper. But honestly, the rest it's fine. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I'm actually gonna put 2 in each because these root systems aren't that large where they're going to be fighting for nutrients too much in these containers, but those larger ones you definitely can put 2 in them. So a lot of this is just based on judgment and adjusting as needed. So we were able to finish up the hot peppers. They are looking pretty scrawny, guys. This is the worst pepper situation I've ever had. These hot peppers that I started, they're not that hot, and usually even the ones that are still around the size of the sweet peppers, when it gets to like September time and they're really producing, they produce a lot of plants. So even if they start producing maybe a few weeks later, it's still going to be fine. I am going to go ahead and restart some of the peppers that I didn't get any of that I really want. The West Indies habanero. We have the pimiento pepper that I'm going to start. I'm going to actually start a couple more Scotch bonnet. And I think that's it. So I'm pretty happy with this. They're not my best, but it's still going to work out. It's going to be just fine. And let me give you guys a look. I just bottom watered these, which is probably not a good idea before trying to tilt it down to give you guys a look. But you know, they are not nice and green, even though I fertilized them, and I think it has something to do with how compact the soil was. You know, if I figure out what else it could be, I'll definitely let you guys know so that you could avoid making the same mistakes that I've done. But this is going to be it for this video. This is all the potting up that I'll be doing today. I have no more potting up to do. The rest of the seedlings back here, they're just going to go straight into either the green stalk or out in the landscape. But if you guys have any questions, suggestions, helpful advice as to what might have gone wrong with my hot peppers, please feel free to leave those in the comment section. But again, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I am so excited for this couple weeks. We are working on a big project that I will kind of go into a little bit more with you guys in the next few videos or so. So make sure that you are subscribed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.